Hey guys, it's Coach Cooper Heller. I'm sure you guys can tell this video is very different from what I normally post. I've decided that I really want to start being more authentic and relatable instead of just posting more superficial fitness-based content. So no explosions, no fancy edits, no high dopamine releases, just raw authenticity and sharing my lessons and my journey on self-improvement, my faith, my fitness journey, all these things that made me me, and the lessons and mistakes that I've learned from that I can share with you guys to get value out of. So moving forward, my intention with this channel is to answer real questions from you guys as the viewers on faith, self-improvement, fitness, mindset, anything growth related. And honestly, I thought, what better spot to do it than in nature? I absolutely love spending time in nature, and I don't show that a lot, and so that's something that I want to do more and more. So with that being said, let's get into it. So I have a question from a viewer that I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to, and this one's pretty deep. He asks, how do you go closer to God? What are some spiritual habits that have lasted? That is a great question. So basically I see this question as, how can we as modern men in our society grow closer to God and develop more faith? Because it is so difficult with the tons of vices at our fingertips, with porn, partying, alcohol, drugs, hookup culture, all these things to fall astray from our faith and the things that are actually meaningful and fulfill our soul. And I'm sure a lot of guys can relate to this. I know I do for sure. So I would say that the first thing that helped me understand and develop more faith in my relationship with God. Granted, this is still a work in progress. I am by no means perfect. But something that really helped me so far has been shifting my heart posture. And what I mean by that is taking the heart posture point of view as you're trying to grow closer to God with your relationship instead of implementing habits just to get those good works in. Like, you cannot get good brownie points with God. It doesn't work like that. And so I believe that's where it all has to start, is what point are you coming from? There's no amount of good works that we can do to please God. We're imperfect people living in an imperfect world. We make mistakes and sin every day. Sometimes stuff that we know we're not even supposed to be doing, we still do it. So I believe that is the first step, is to realize that and view it as not a checklist, but as something that you're actively working towards every single day to grow that relationship and your faith with God. So secondly, a habit that I've been able to stick to is my quiet time every morning. There's been some mornings I've missed, but for the most part, I know that that is a staple habit for me because that sets the tone for the rest of my day. And I know, as bad as this sounds, if I think to myself, okay, I'll do it before bed, or I'll do it in between work in the middle of the day, it's probably not going to happen. I just know that from experience. I know that from knowing myself. And so I want to make that a priority. And so that's why I do it first thing in the morning. As soon as I wake up, I spend time in prayer, and I do my daily devotion, reading the Bible, asking the Lord for guidance and to speak to me for what I need to see that day. There's tons of great daily devotionals out there. My buddies and I just read through Ephesians. I'm lucky to have a close group of friends that we can all relate through the struggles and really just support each other through staying accountable with reading the Word. So that's actually a great third point, is to find guys around you, locally or online, that are all trying to build your faith together. Because if you try to go at it alone, yes, you can do it, of course, but having that community to back you up and support the difficult questions when they come up and just have your back and keep you accountable, that's a different level. And that just doesn't apply only to fitness, but especially to faith. Because, as we talked about, our society has fallen, and if all the guys around you are partying, drinking, hooking up, doing all these things, you're going to be a product of who you're hanging around. And so I'm not saying you have to cut off those people, but definitely be conscious of your time exposure to them, and be conscious of integrating yourself in a circle of other guys that have the same values and core beliefs and goals in their faith as you do. So like I said, that can be online. You can reach out to me, or maybe some friends online, or even in person is the best. Any sort of community should help keep you grounded. So, and I think a great fourth and final point to make with this topic is know your hard boundaries, know what you are willing to do and aren't willing to do. Because if you make a decision 100%, that is easier than 99%. Like if you say, I'm going to go all in on this, there's no doubt. Like there's no question you're going to waver. But if you say 99%, okay, there's a little room for error, that's going to make it much more difficult and more tempting for you. So I would encourage you with things like your vices to go 100% and know your boundaries and know what you stand for and what you are and aren't willing to do. For example, for myself, drugs, that's something that I used to struggle with in the past when I was going out and partying a lot. That's something that I was around and something I never really thought that I would get into, but I ended up getting into it. And so I made the decision a while back, like I never want to touch drugs again. Hard drugs, obviously, not ibuprofen. So that's a hard no for me. Same thing with hookups. I have dedicated myself towards celibacy, and as you guys know, guys in our late teens, early to mid, late 20s, our hormones are rampant. It's extremely difficult, especially when opportunities present themselves. But if you have that commitment in the back of your mind, and you've made that commitment to yourself and to God, you're not going to do it. And if you get tempted, there's a lot more pull to saying no than to just giving in. So that would be my fourth and final tip, is have your heart set boundaries, and again, know what you're willing to do and what you're willing to not do, and you could set boundaries around those things. Because say for example, if you're not willing to hook up or do drugs, you have to set boundaries around hanging around people that are doing those things. Otherwise, you're going to fall into that as well. So to wrap things up, the 4 tips here. Number 1, your heart posture. Make sure you're coming from the heart posture of wanting to genuinely build a relationship with God instead of checking off a checklist. Number 2, start the foundation of your day with prayer and meditation on God's Word. That sets the tone for the rest of your day, and that helps you prioritize what's most meaningful. Number 3, find yourself in a community of like-minded guys, especially with faith, that you can count on and that can keep you accountable. Number 4, know your hard no's. You have to know your hard no's so that you can set the boundaries around the things that are going to help you grow as a man of God. If you guys found this video of value and you want me to keep pumping these out, please let me know in the comments. I'm always open to advice, and if you want to talk with me as well, feel free to DM me or message me. I'd love to chat with you. And if you know someone who could benefit from this advice, don't hesitate to send it over to them. And again, in the comments, let me know what you guys think. Share your own experiences. I love hearing from you guys. I read all the comments on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. So I always love to go through those. So feel free to share whatever. And thank you guys for watching this. Until next time, live your life with purpose.